right, it was billed as historic and a major UFO hearing on Capitol Hill, and it did not disappoint. A House subcommittee dedicated to declassifying federal secrets unveiled footage that has never been seen before, like this one on your screen right now. It shows what they call a UAP, an unidentified anomalous phenomenon, in the shape of an orb. It was spotted off the coast of Yemen last October. A U.S. military drone then fires on it with a Hellfire missile. The 100-pound missile bounces right off the orb, which wavers for a moment and then continues to travel at extreme speed through the air. And it didn't end there. Several witnesses, including 3 Navy and Air Force veterans, testified to having witnessed other UAPs during their service.
Someone would see a light. They would pay attention to the light. And then the object responds, it performs for you. And then they come down and they investigate you.
The craft itself was this black metallic flake paint, but on top of the craft was this gold, lava, plasma, some type of fluid going over and around the craft.
Now, that last person you just heard from is an Air Force veteran named Dylan Borland. He claims to have seen a 100-foot triangle at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, which he says ascended tens of thousands of feet in seconds. But the hearing wasn't just about these astounding accounts and eye-popping footage. It was also about the government's efforts to keep all of this hidden, not only from the public, but from Congress as well. Borland said he faced threats from within the military when he spoke up about that incident at Langley Air Force Base, and that many others are suffering a similar fate.
I and many other whistleblowers have no job prospects, no foreseeable professional future, and a nation every single one of us came forward to defend. To my fellow whistleblowers and officials who know this information, I offer you my apology, something that I have never gotten.
All right, joining us now is former Pentagon UAP investigator Lou Elizondo, who played a crucial role in launching the current UAP renaissance when he helped release the now infamous Pentagon videos back in 2017. Also joining us is Marik Von Rennenkampff, who served at the Departments of State and Defense. Marik, I'm going to start with you. And this video that was just revealed that we played a portion of just a second ago, it's from an MQ-9 Reaper drone off the coast of Yemen in 2024. The missile appears, it's a 100-pound missile. It appears to simply bounce off this object rather than destroy it. It's unbelievable. What do you think we're seeing here?
Well, good evening, Elizabeth, and it's great to be with you again. It is very, very intriguing footage. I want to caution everybody that interesting footage has been debunked in the past, but at first glance, this is very, very interesting footage, especially because it appears that this object continues moving along on a trajectory after the impact from this missile. Again, much more analysis is required, but at first glance, it does some very interesting things. It appears to rotate before the missile strikes it. A lot more analysis needs to be done, but I want to quickly caution folks that we get hung up on flashy videos. I really want to urge everybody watching to call their senators to support the UAP Disclosure Act, which is sponsored by Chuck Schumer and Senator Mike Rounds. That is really the core of the matter. That's my bottom line takeaway, that we should pay attention to these, again, headline-grabbing incidents and testimonies and videos, but let's really pass some legislation that actually could have some teeth and some impact on this topic.
Lou, Marik raises a good point. The video is impressive, but let's apply some proper skepticism. We don't know its provenance. It was leaked anonymously to Congressman Burleson. Second, it lacks all of the telemetry data that we saw in the infamous Nimitz Tic Tac video that you actually helped make public yourself. Congressman Burleson himself didn't want to make any claims about what this was or wasn't. We need a lot more information here, right?
Yeah, Elizabeth, Marik's absolutely correct. We have to be very careful not to jump to any conclusions prematurely. However, this is just an example of one of many, many types of videos that the U.S. government has in its possession, and Congress is working very hard trying to get some of those released in order for the American public to see it for themselves and also maybe get some additional expertise to look at what we're looking at in this video. I would like to also emphasize that this particular hearing was, I would say, historic. And it takes a lot for me to say that because I was in a hearing very similar to this. What you heard was that there was this concerted effort to obfuscate by the U.S. government and suppress whistleblower testimony. It's something that I've been basically railing against for the last 8 years because I myself have been victim to it. Same with some of my other colleagues. And you heard it again from firsthand whistleblowers that they too, in some cases, suffered a tremendous amount of retribution just simply for coming forward and asking the hard questions.
Why do you think that is? I'm not sure I understand this. Like, why? We heard the testimony today. We've had other people, guests on this show, who've said the same thing, that they were told not to speak out, Lou. Why do you think they're being...
I actually had to sign paperwork, and I'll tell you something. There's several reasons it could be, but let me tell you the one that I fear is probably perhaps maybe the most realistic, or one of the most realistic, that the U.S. government actually has been able to successfully reverse engineer perhaps certain aspects of the observables, what we're seeing with UAP technology. And in fact, we heard about the stories today about a triangular craft that was huge in size with lights on the apex of the triangle. There are other whistleblowers right now, to include former special operators, who are willing to come forward and talk to Congress and the intelligence community about these exact aircraft being seen over military bases.
Marik, you said on X today that, quote, absolutely no one can watch this hearing and say nothing to see here. You think today's hearing moved the needle, perhaps, on UFO transparency?
I sure hope so, Elizabeth. I've been following this for quite some time, as you know, and this, to Lou's absolutely right. I do think this is a historic hearing, but we have to view this hearing in the broader kind of architecture of what's happened over the last several years. And when you put it all together, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to spend all night tonight writing an opinion piece for The Hill, and I don't know where to begin because there was so much from this hearing. We had names named, we had allegations of illegality, a potential constitutional crisis which again, Senator Chuck Schumer, Mike Rounds, Secretary of State Marco Rubio have all alluded to. We've had video footage. It's just extraordinary. And I just want to quickly sing the praises of George Knapp, who I think was truly, all the witnesses were outstanding, but George Knapp is just a remarkable, he's an encyclopedia of this topic. He did incredible work bringing documents out of Russia that are really eyebrow raising. So to make a long-winded answer short, this was indeed historic. I really hope this moves the needle. The video footage again grabs all the headlines, but let's I hope people have a much broader understanding of this topic. And yes, in totality, it's hard to ignore this.
And Elizabeth,
yeah, go ahead, Lou.
this is exactly why journalism is so important. People like Marik, yourself, George Knapp, you are at right now the forefront of this topic, and you folks are the ones that are actually forcing the government to provide answers.
And Marik, I just want to go back to something. You just referenced allegations of illegality. Very quickly, what are those allegations?
It's quite simple, and this is what whistleblower Dave Grush alleged in his whistleblower complaint to the Inspector General of the intelligence community, and that is that information has been illegally withheld from Congress. UAP and UFO-related information being withheld from Congress by secretive elements of the executive branch. That is a major constitutional crisis, and the stakes are incredibly high here.
Yeah, and we've heard several congressmen say very publicly that they think that is happening, and they are very, very upset about it. Lou, very quickly, during the hearing, Congressman Burleson alleged that congressional staff have repeatedly blocked attempts to legislate disclosure. So even within Congress, he's saying...
Yeah, think about that, Elizabeth. You're absolutely right. Imagine a staffer who is not an elected official going out on their own.
Blocking an elected official from doing their job.
That's right. That's right. If that's not obstruction, I don't know what is.
What do you think, Lou, needs to be done going forward? Will there be more of these hearings, more of these revelations? Can they issue subpoenas? We heard Congressman Luna talk about threatening subpoenas today. Who does she want to subpoena and why?
Yes to all the above. I think the subpoena is looking right now, the bullseye is directly on the back of the former Aero director, Sean Kirkpatrick. It's been made abundantly clear that he obfuscated, at a minimum, obfuscated the truth, and perhaps much more serious allegations are involved with that. My personal interaction with that office was, how shall I say, less than spectacular when I spoke to them in person in Washington, D.C. Now, I want to also be clear, we've got to be careful we don't, paint this with a broad stroke, because there is new leadership in Aero and Mr. Kozlowski, and I think we need to give him a fair shake. I do not think this is, quote, your father's Oldsmobile, and I think we need to give him a new opportunity to succeed.
And what do they think Aero did under the last administration to hamper efforts by Congress to get to the bottom of this?
Well, they did a lot of things. First of all, the reports that they put out to Congress were erroneous. They were fraught full of inaccuracies and misinformation. In fact, they were factually false in some of their results. Secondly, they did not do their due diligence. They had told Congress they talked to everybody who knew anything about UAPs. That is also patently not true. And then they said, well, they've talked to all the whistleblowers and there's nothing to see here. And that also is not true. A lot of information, substantial amount of information was provided to Aero in the past, and they decided to sit on it and furthermore actually suppress it. I know for a fact there's a major command right now in Colorado that was visited by Sean Kirkpatrick, and they were told to stand down and not report UAP information. That actually happened.
Marik, how much of this is a national security issue?
It is a major national security issue. Anytime we have objects demonstrating capabilities that we cannot replicate, that we do not.
If that video, to your point, if that video is for real and it is accurate, objects, I don't know of an object that can take a solid hit from a Hellfire, a 100-pound Hellfire missile, and keep flying, with barely a waver there.
I absolutely agree, but again, I want to caution folks that let's be a little skeptical. But you're right in the totality of the evidence. When you look, especially through the historical record, and you see just countless report after report of identical morphologies of these objects back in the 50s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, exhibiting these extraordinary technologies. We certainly have a major national security issue. And I just want to quickly state, your viewers might remember we had a series of quote unquote drone incursions over sensitive military facilities. I would be remiss if I didn't point out that the most extraordinary of those series of events occurred over Langley Air Force Base, which is precisely where Dylan Borland observed this allegedly equilateral triangle performing in extraordinary ways, and reporting of potentially non-human objects and materials going back to the 1970s have been connected to Langley Air Force Base. And
is there something specific about Langley that would attract interest from another country? Let's just assume it's something man-made that's, hovering over Langley and gathering intel, or from out of this world. Okay, I can't even believe I just said that. But what is it about Langley Air Force Base?
Well, we're speculating. All we know is that we've had this witness report. We've certainly had the drone incursions that the military has admitted. This went on almost nightly for almost 3 weeks, and that is a major air defense facility that houses the F-22 fighter, which is one of our most advanced aircraft. I will just say quickly, Elizabeth, you caught yourself when you said extraterrestrial non-human intelligence. I must stress that non-human intelligence, that term appears 24 times in this legislation submitted by Senator Schumer, Senator Rounds, Senator Gillibrand, that is working its way through Congress right now. And that really, I think, should be the focus of everyone's efforts if you're truly interested in transparency on this topic.
Non-human intelligence. Lou Elizondo, Marik Von Rennenkampff. More questions come out of these hearings. It's like the more revelations we get, the more questions we have. Thank you both for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.